So this evening I've come in with a bit of direction. Hello, sweetie. Well, you're all sweeties, of course, but there's a beautiful little sweetie there. Mm. So I want to follow this direction, which may become apparent as we go along. So first, to put this idea I want to bring forward, to put this idea through, we start off very simply. By asking a question. And that is, have you noticed in deep dreamless sleep, nothing changes? Those of you that have been sharing this unfolding for some while, I've been putting this across for many years, but I want to put it across differently. Deep dreamless sleep. Have you noticed that nothing changes? Probably you haven't, maybe you have, but nothing changes in deep dreamless sleep. In deep dreamless sleep, that's the pure awake state or pure being. So when we close our eyes, and often, of course, if you were going to meditate, you might close your eyes. And it's clear that as you close your eyes, perception ceases. In other words, you cease perceiving through outer forms. But I'd like us to have a look. Are those outer forms the appearance of our inner Wi-Fi? This is the way I'm going to put this. And I just keep moving with this because I'm building on it for us to get an idea. So we have our eyes closed now, and often if we were to practice the form, I would suggest that you don't name anything on the screen, on the black screen. That's that with our eyes closed. And you bring your attention to begin with into your heart or into the feeling of sensation, so that we begin to be aware, awareness begins to be aware that with our eyes closed, our attention drops away from the appearance on the screen. And I suggest to you, when we open our eyes, let's just open our eyes. That's the appearance on the screen. And from now on, I'm going to call that your I-Wi-Fi. Your I-Wi-Fi. Pretty cool, isn't it? It just kind of popped up, your I-Wi-Fi. In other words, your I-Wi-Fi is the connection of what you are as consciousness or awareness to cosmic potentiality. You have to keep moving this, otherwise we start to think. That thinking doesn't work. I don't know if you've come upon that one yet. So as we become aware, like here we are right now, and we can feel the sensation in our hands. Can we do that together with our eyes open? Can you feel in your hands? And you can feel maybe the sensation at the chest level, but leave images alone just for a moment. And I'm saying that's your I-Wi-Fi connection with the field of pure energy by way of your own primal consciousness. That's the connection. Primal consciousness, field of pure energy. That's the Wi-Fi of the cosmos, potentiality. And everything that's appearing while we have our eyes open is on the Wi-Fi, appearing on the screen that looks so real and three-dimensional. And I don't know if your home is the same as my home, for instance. You can have repetition on your Wi-Fi. You can go to the same channel every day if you want. You can go to the yes, somebody's beginning to crack. You can go to the same channel every day. You can go to the What About Me channel every day. And the What About Me channel will just keep building up the Wi-Fi. What about me? What about me? What about me? And the Wi-Fi becomes, it's like a groove. Not groovy, that's different. It becomes a groove in the Wi-Fi system where you're always on the What About Me Wi-Fi channel of your I-Wi-Fi. But if we close our eyes and we stay with this analogy and we feel the grid, the grid of energy, and we're feeling that energy that used to be related to as a body and other bodies. Now the perception is utterly different. It's just pure energy. And the energy's flowing home or in, if there is such a thing. And the screen is getting clearer. There might be some Wi-Fi disturbance from old dreams appearing on it. But the more you stay with the pure Wi-Fi, awareness begins to, as it were, transcend its Wi-Fi system and returns prior to its dream states that are created by its Wi-Fi system. So suddenly, from dream appearing as, let's call it third dimensional, we're no longer dreaming, we're in pure being. And it can get deeper and deeper. And the Wi-Fi is temporal. Is yours not temporal, your Wi-Fi? But this is pure, constant, being aware, constant, not a dream. And you can whoever one is, as awareness, I suggest just deepen in that purely is. You could say this is isness, the isness behind all perception of apparent things. Isness. Strange thing about this is we fall into the isness or pure awareness without knowing it, simply because we are it. There's nothing else to know. And this isn't knowing it. This is it. Is it. Isness. This is not a dream. This is the ground behind and beyond all dreams. Prior to creation, can't even call it freedom because it already is this pure state that's not temporal but absolute. As awareness, you can even look and check in the deep. No body, no separation, no barrier, pure nothing isness. In the form, we kind of practice this in that we return our attention, perception, back into source connection. Nothing's needed, only to return by not doing. And this is timeless. There's no time here. No ID, identity. So one's dream body is, as it were, suspended. But how many dream bodies does I have? Innumerable, I suggest, in creation. Yet no time is gone by. But we have an alarm clock wake us up in the morning to re-enter time. But is that simply a program? So here, no identity, isness, And let's just for a moment, somehow a breath is taken. It is a somehow, really. Who is breathing? Or is there just breath? It's like a movement of a possibility to experience total existence as I am. And awareness doesn't leave anything, it's not gone anywhere, but it becomes aware of knowing I am. It's still not space-time. And the most one can say is I am present. And you can see that the non-physical is the natural state. You begin to open your eyes, and the Wi-Fi turns on, cosmic potentiality. And the Wi-Fi energy, consciousness, perceives existence, but at this state, I suggest existence as pure I, in other words, still no other. And right here, the Wi-Fi of potentiality is vast. Potentiality, extreme potentials beyond the normal structure of living as an identity. But life, like a river, flowing without beginning and end. I suggest we call that love. The flow of that without beginning and end, that streams as the cosmos, and then without division begins to appear as a manifestation of light and energy and appearance. But check it out. Is it not a Wi-Fi? I-Wi-Fi. And then first thing in the morning, do you see you don't pick up a particular station? You don't have a particular light. You do have fullness. I exist. But I exist as awareness existing as the totality. I exist. No other. I exist. And right here, whether it was in the morning or any time, seems strange to speak of time or space, I can perceive, I am perception beyond any like program. Vast potentiality exists in this I am that's not being shaped into a time-bound box. But somehow the time-bound box begins to vibrate, and the higher frequencies seem to escape aware attention, and somewhere the Wi-Fi system seems to come down to something that demonstrates what about me, or demonstrates a separate sense, or demonstrates an ABC of what to do with me. Does that have to happen? So if we look at what we just are entering or experiencing, everything changes, but not what I am. What I am is constant, pure state of knowing, aware, knowing. Within the Wi-Fi, everything's changing. And somehow, having experience of the Wi-Fi system, everything's changing. I begin to see where I attached to try to stop everything changing. From the perspective of identity, or like and dislike, I create duality. Whoever I am. But somehow in the everything changing, from the deeper isness, I perceive through those changes that everything changes can simply change into one thing only, that doesn't change. All the changes change into that doesn't change. The law is, in existence, everything changes into that doesn't change. And that's where the growth is. That's where the wonder is. That's where the brilliance is. That's where the peace beyond any understanding is. That is the isness that is love. So somehow the grasping onto all that changes is this shouldn't happen and that shouldn't happen because it's all changing. Somehow we begin to perceive that everything changes. I can recalibrate again and again and again into more duality code, or I can just simply see everything's changing into that doesn't change. And I begin to open to pure being, open and aware. I begin to realize I am existence. I am that love. Or I can simply grasp on and try to stop things changing, which is experienced maybe as suffering. But somewhere amongst this, there is growth of awareness, being aware of its pure state, unchangeable, amongst the change. And the Wi-Fi system of the cosmos begins to be gently and yet fully available to manifest that doesn't change as life in the cosmos now. I begin to perceive the information I put into the Wi-Fi system manifests. If I have identified myself amongst all those changes, then the Wi-Fi system simply gives me the same. No growth, no change, no revelation of that doesn't change. So again, we can close our eyes and do note that the black screen simply had on it appearance, and the appearance appears maybe as three-dimensional form, or 5, 6, 7 dimensions of light manifesting in a beat of form now. Somehow we're seeing everything changes, and the law is there's nothing you can do about that because everything changes. And what one's essential nature is unchanging, pure awareness. And there's nothing you can do about that because that's what one is. And we realize more and more that the dream that we call awake is a dream. Awake is the deep, prior to that appears on the screen. But somehow is animated by the presence of being deeply, knowingly aware. And I am the awakeness amongst the changing dream. Somehow this points to non-physical is our pure natural state. We all know that because we can watch bodies come and go from a plant to an insect to an animal body to a human body. The pure knowing aware is that goes nowhere, but is profoundly real. And I suggest to you it's kind of definitely the dance of the form. dance of the form is movement happens, and this I perceives profoundly into that changes as the dance of that does not change. And with deeper perception, our experience changes. That matches our deeper perception and perspectives of what is. I am that. And we can close our eyes now, and one is in the buzz or the bliss or the simple quietness of pure being, the changeless. And in the dance of the form that changes, can perceive the movement of that moves, creates, dissolves, returns, and there is growth right there. So the cosmic Wi-Fi, I-Wi-Fi, opens to deeper potentiality, to manifest the realm of pure being throughout this cosmic life called I. Our perception changes. We perceive the greater depth and potentiality. The Wi-Fi of the world no longer works in our awareness. We've expanded beyond the world Wi-Fi. The Earth Wi-Fi is beautiful. Cosmic Wi-Fi is beautiful. And our higher potentials begin to manifest as we leave the world Wi-Fi alone. Cosmic Wi-Fi, divine Wi-Fi begins to awaken our perception to our higher divine potentiality. Here we would have learned so much about transformation of energy, image, purpose, and meaning. That was once set around a personal identity, is now flowing from an unspeakable I of presence that I am. Things come and manifest in my awareness that are not bound by time or space, but are free ideas to manifest my soul. And we can take a breath right now, and I suggest we can have our eyes closed. And right here is where that doesn't change is. Although maybe amongst a mind that's still moving in changes as personalized identification. But if we're ready to depersonalize this moment from the deeper brilliance of discovering true nature, the old image begins to fade and the new knowing begins to have a life of deeper, profound integration. Old Wi-Fi system was keeping you, us, we, in a system, a systematic of the known. You've transcended that systematic of the known. You're no longer A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Your fluid potentiality. Just like the practice of the form, this can begin to be realized as the ground of our life. No matter what one is engaged in, the unchanging presence of you, the deeper perception, transmitting the deeper perspective of this moment, flowing from what you deeply are, cosmic Wi-Fi engages and brings the opportunity. The engagement of all the old Wi-Fi time-bound systems has been completely seen through, possibly even worked through, until released from the time-bound idea that you're here to do certain things by time. You're simply here to shine as you. And that's without beginning or end. Now, I relate this, as it were, as a practice because during our day, there is so much energy involved in whatever you're doing. You can actually believe what you're doing is about you. What you're doing must be done. And so all manner of energies can move when one is not abiding in original presence, awareness, openness. You can be fighting the many distractions with your emotional body, mental body, rather than a flow of present awareness. Quite magical, actually, because it's unchanging. The mind wants to make an image of you, an other, but you can't find one because you are existence, not a particle. You're it. So we can do things, as it were. You'll see me now lifting my palms up and bringing my hands as if I'm doing the form. But the shape of my hand and where it is not determining the energy, the presence, the possibility. That's already inherent. The possibility, infinite, is already inherent. The law is, I am the changeless. The law is, all forms, mental, emotional, psychological, are changing. You cannot stop them changing. You cannot not be the changeless. It's the law. When you see this, for instance, in dancing the form, your hands or your body, in whatever position it is a flow of original nature, a flow of original being, having a shape as the cosmos, a shape as the earth, a shape of someone. The prior to is always the shape of what is, original structure. In such a deliberate experience of presence aware, you'll notice that the apparent vibration of form is simply buzzing and opening according to your own diving into this timeless moment. The deeper as awareness you dive, the experience of the vibration forming changes. The I-Wifi is at full potential as heart and mind open to the deeper possibility of life. The mind is quieted by such isness, and the heart is flourishing in such presence. We call this healing. What's being healed is simply the idea that you are a person that does, but there's no doer here. It's all dancing. There's only I. and one can experience the expansion of one's awareness in the fullness of I. And the entering of this presence will expand your ideas of you and change the forms that you've been occupying and upgrade them to greater brilliance and possibility. And quite naturally, new levels of you will begin to appear, invite, accept, integrate, and come alive. And those new energies of you never build on an old image of you. The old images of you simply dissolve, perish, or vanish. So in this moment, right where we are now, the past is not fixed, it is open. And the future is not fixed, it is open. Because it's all the brilliance of here and now. And the I-Wifi is shining, and the deep is emerging. And what was once your idea of you as this me is vanishing into this true you knowing itself. And take no thought and you flourish. Take one thought and you land in the world Wi-Fi. And this is the movement of the body. The movement of the body is the infinite, glorious Wi-Fi of I, shining bright, and the body is its manifestation of its light and energy. But what you are is faster than light, more than energy, without beginning and end. And the law of that is changeless. And the structure of the apparent human, the heart, begins to reveal itself as the cosmic doorway of I. And the mind begins to reveal itself as the power of that heart now flourishing. So the past being open and the future being open, that's pure presence. Whoever one is already building in the now, the new cosmos. Including transcending, growing, emerging, dissolving, returning, Mind no longer needing image. And joy becomes one's natural state. And you can look at another, and your mind can't locate them in the dream. They're not of the dream. The dream is of that one that appears as all of us. When we bring our hands together in what sometimes is called prayer, that's the initiation of the right sphere and the left sphere of the brain being initiated into new profound codes of reality. The unchanging frequency, sometimes called source or God, is the power of now re-informing, healing, opening the brain, the nervous system to higher frequency and dimensionality. So the senses begin to be the sense of the beyond. In this, one is returned to innocence. No doer. That was a game of the lower Wi-Fi system. Self is experiencing itself throughout the cosmos in this very now. You might see in that prayer that the whole nervous system of the body, even the DNA, is being informed of an emergent sense of your formless state, the prior to any image of the changing sense of self. You've never not been here. Your brain cannot comprehend who or what you are. It can only finally open in the light of yourself, and new reflections begin to be at work. So I suggest that each and every one of us have to be so clear to live this with each breath, rather than just robotically getting on with what our brain, our mind is telling us to do. We need to be so clear as to deepen, open, transcend, include. As we've already heard, here your past and your future is not being created. It's open. We are the now. And just for a moment, if you can imagine, for me, this is not imagination, I'm just using that word. If you can imagine every star, seen or unseen, is the reflected light of I in your pure mind, seen or unseen. Every star, then, is the I of you appearing throughout the universe. And this is what your mind is for. To manifest the heart's calling, to realize itself throughout the universe as living presence. No duality. Amongst that changes is the changeless. It is I. So right now, see what's happening in your brain, or what appears to be, some systems say, the auric field. Feel what's taking place in your perception and knowing right now. Include the sensation of the body, and somehow you begin to see also your life in its appearance as it is, and the invitation for its appearance to be completely made new from the deeper perception of the unchanging I. Enjoy sharing whatever you're about to share with each other. Just really honor what you're in the discovery of. Include your life as it is, but go deep into what you're just discovering. Share it with each other. I'll see you in around 10 to 15 minutes. Somehow what we're looking at here, I'm going to stay with the I-Wi-Fi, is how each of us define ourselves, which is the same as saying how we define reality. Yes? Kind of get that? So if you look on the Wi-Fi of the world, you're a Monday to Friday creature, or maybe you're a Monday to Monday creature. You're a certain type of person. You have certain traits. You have certain religion. You have certain ideas of you, whether it be in terms of religion or whether it be culture. Nonetheless, the Wi-Fi system of the world, not the Earth, that's totally different. Yeah, the Wi-Fi system of the world is tuning you into be a known creature. I don't know. You don't have to agree with me, remember? See, you could come there too. So what we were really looking at is, in this life, right here and now, have you redefined what you are? You can play the game, you can look as if there's somebody next to you, and if there is, that could be good fun. Because if they go back to you and they go, you're onto something, right? Otherwise, it's just noise, okay? So, look, are you interested? Have you redefined who you are? But without measurement, is your manifest life, that includes how you feel, how you see, how you perceive, are you rested, are you open, are you still chaotic? Has how you've redefined yourself, is it emerging? Now, this is not, we're not examining, we're just looking, okay? Because most of us want to take to the grave this idea that we're someone, but not source itself. So in this life, and through the ways in which I suggest we've been looking over this past hour or two, you've redefined yourself. But has it emerged as the way you're able to speak, to share, to relate? Come on, come on. Have you redefined yourself? If you redefined yourself, what you'll see, I've just jotted a couple of things here, is the definition of you, yeah, that will change. Because if you live what you've discovered, how you've redefined yourself, you're into another level of you. In other words, because God or source has no beginning and end, I suggest that's played out in the cosmos, as there is no beginning or end of the cosmos, and the possibilities of this intelligence called I and we can delve into the cosmos and find how the delving into the cosmos is in here, actually. And the deeper we delve, the more do we discover in our reaching into our deeper Wi-Fi. We actually also discover or rediscover how we define ourselves. So behaviors begin to change. What we do begins to change. How much more open we are begins to change. How more free or fearless we are begins to change. How we become, as it were, risk takers. I'm going to use that word. In other words, we're no longer held together by how we earn or how we've related in the past. Suddenly, we're in touch with something more than some limitation that we held on to. Can you still hear me? Yeah. So something I want to put into the mix here is what keeps you believing you're a particular someone. How can I put that? I tried to put it several ways. Is the belief that you've left your true state. And so religions are this idea that you've left your true state, and how dare you? How dare you leave your true state? Naughty boys, naughty girls. You should... The belief is that you've left your true state, but you've not. You cannot. You're the unchanging. But notice how that changes changes how you relate to yourself, how you defined yourself and redefined yourself. Different manifest mirrors begin to appear in the body-mind frequencies. You might feel more abundant, more, as it were, openly alive. Maybe no longer relying on the past to try and build a future. That you don't rely on the past to build a future, or even the future to set you free of your past. You're discovering what you are. And your relationships with self and the apparent other, because you're discovering there is no other, is totally, refreshingly attuned to how you come from your deeper discovery of what you are. And you're not trying to find an end to it anymore. It's impossible to find an end to what you are. So this moves everything along, because you're discovering that this moment is one thing, one awareness, one consciousness, one life. It appears to be many through the fractalization of sense perception. But maybe you're discovering sense perception is as much paint as Rembrandt or somebody else had in their paint palette, and that you're painting this. But I'm endeavoring to say to you all, get hold of this. This is your potential. Get hold of this. What limits one's self is your idea of yourself through what is seen to come from you as a person. But nothing has come from you as a person. That's the lower Wi-Fi. All has come from you as source itself. All stars, or galaxies, or planets, or light, or depth, or wonder, or mystery, all everything has come from you and still is. So if you, in this moment, see how you're redefining you, then something is emerging of how you're reconfiguring what appears to be your body-mind, but an instrument of your own innate perception to perceive what you are with no beginning and end.